where yells go. That's exciting. All right. That's coming. Hooray. Hooray.
Right. I never trust this until it's all
Hooray.
really...
I trust nothing.
The pistons turning, and the gears and the levers.
Nothing. But it would appear, dare I say, that everything is working. Let's see. Let's see. Yes. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So we are now on Facebook.
Yep.
Twitter.
Yep.
Instagram.
Yep.
Holy moly.
YouTube.
Yes.
Yep.
Yik Yak.
Oh, my favorite.
Yeah.
Personal favorite.
Okay.
Not everyone knows about Yik Yak, but it's really where things are at.
It's like Clubhouse.
It's like that.
But not quite.
It's too many things. We have multiple friends who've been saying, are you gonna join Clubhouse? I go, there's too many things, guys.
Too many things.
My brain.
Too many of everything.
Too many of everything. Yeah.
Too much of everything, I should say.
Yeah, well.
Proper English.
Too much stuff.
We were not here last Sunday because
we have not seen you in 2 weeks, which is crazy. Thank you again for all the lovely birthday wishes. Very, very kind. We had a nice birthday / Father's Day weekend, which is always nice. And that's I will say, I think something that we're accustomed to sharing the holiday, because my birthday is always right before or right after Father's Day. So it's kind of become, it's Tori's, but happy birthday, Tori. Very, very happy birthday to you, my friend. Tracy's saying you spoke beautifully at Norman Lloyd's memorial on Sunday.
And that's where we were last Sunday, Alice and I.
Yes.
At a memorial for the late, great Norman Lloyd, who made it to 106 and made it relatively intact.
More than relatively. I mean, really. Should all
to hear from the people who
but
there.
But I mean, like we should all be that brilliant.
Yeah.
At 100, and it's just.
I'll take it next Thursday.
Yeah, right. If I could be as together as him, that would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're only missing telegraph, Morse code, and smoke signals. Believe me, I've been working on them.
Yeah.
But we're in Los Angeles, and fire is a real problem, so I'm not allowed to do smoke signals.
I've always been fascinated by the telegraph key. And I have a couple, one on my nightstand and one on my desk.
Yeah.
Because I just like the tactile feeling of clicking that.
Of tippity tap tapping.
Button. And I had some sort of a scientific toy when I was a kid that actually made a beep beep sound when you hit the button.
Made a what sound?
Beep beep.
Beep beep sound.
Yeah.
I like the thing you have on your desk. I like your little.
Yeah.
It's the same. I love to play with it too. I love sitting there messing around with it.
Yeah. One of these days I'll connect it to some sort of.
You've only had it for 8,000 years. No rush. No rush attaching it to anything. You'll be fine. So funny. It is one of those things that's really funny because we have so much stuff around the house. We have a switchboard. We have a full switchboard.
Switchboard that came from a hotel in downtown Los Angeles.
Via a yard sale.
Yeah.
Via a yard sale down the street from our old house.
On the day after the 94 Northridge earthquake.
Yeah. Crazy.
A guy who collected big stuff, jukeboxes, slot machines.
Yeah.
And he wanted to get rid of this.
He had this.
And very reasonably. Except that it's not reasonable to try to lift it or move it anymore.
No. My memory as a kid was you two coming home with it and me going, what? But as a kid, it also meant that I played with it all the time. So I would sit, because it has the headset. I'd sit, put the headset on and pretend I was connecting people. Again, very normal childhood, guys. Don't all children play with switchboards? No? Okay. Yet another reason. Yet another reason why I did not relate to anyone my own age. What do you mean you guys don't play with switchboards at home? What's wrong with you? Greg is joining us from Dundee. Hi, friend. Yes, I love Dundee. I love Scotland. Home away from home. Miss it all the time. Your hair is amazing. Thank you. It's just braided. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with it next. It's been rainbow a long time, and I'm debating if I want to change it.
Ooh.
So,
Ooh,
big.
I don't like change.
I know you do. But the good thing is you're colorblind, so you don't know what my hair looks like anyway.
Yeah, I sort of do.
Yeah, you have some sense. What?
And I love your hair.
Thank you. What we have learned is that there are certain things that we can't change, such as at one point, my dad accidentally shaved off a part of his beard. I will never forget the expletives that rang out through our household. He forgot to put the guard on his electric trimmer. Shaver, and went zzz, zzz, and shaved holes in his face. And because he was on Entertainment Tonight, what I had to do is I went and I got a bunch of eyeliner pencils. One dark brown, one sort of a medium brown, and then a gray, and I dotted in to fill it in. I dotted to fill in his beard where he shaved it off. But my mom and I said, we've never seen you without a beard. Maybe you should try shaving it just one time. That evening, we were meeting you at a restaurant, and the guy said, what does your husband look like? My mom goes, beard and glasses. Oh, crap. I can never let him shave because we will never be able to describe him. So it's similar for me. If I'm going to meet my parents somewhere, if I'm meeting you at an event, my dad goes, my daughter has rainbow hair. You'll find her. So I think that if I changed it too significantly, no one would know where I was, and that would be a problem.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I've told this story. When I started wearing glasses when I was about 10.
Yeah. As
I recall, about 10 years old. And so I was just used to wearing glasses. I've done it my whole life, and it's not a big deal. When I went to work for Entertainment Tonight, I went through 3 producers in the first year, I think. And the second or third was a guy who arrived at our studio in Merv Griffin's building on Vine Street, and was just being shown in by, he was going to be the executive producer, and the line producer was showing him in, and I happened to be walking by. And he said, George, this is Leonard Maltin, our film critic. And he said, oh, yeah, I've seen your work. You got to lose the glare on those glasses. He hasn't been there 10 seconds. He's taking over an entire television show, and that's what he had to say to me. So needless to say, I went to an optician in Beverly Hills, and because that's what you do. And I got contact lenses and frames with no glasses.
Yes. Glasses
that
were
sure
not
does
glasses.
get rid of the glare. I promise you that.
It gets rid of the glare when there's no glass in your glasses.
It was only then that I learned that Phil Silvers had done that most of his career. What? I never noticed anything like that when I was watching Sergeant Bilko or the old movies that he's in. Well, that's how strong the illusion is. It's a thought process.
Well, I think I've said this when I found out that Groucho's mustache wasn't real, I was distraught. And it's funny because, I mean, again, part of that's watching it as a little kid, but you also just sort of accept whatever you're seeing.
Yeah.
So because that's what he looked like, I just thought that was Groucho's mustache.
So I didn't like the contacts.
No.
So I didn't wear them except when I taped my segments. And because again, I was used to wearing glasses.
Yes.
And so after almost a year, a couple of people stopped me, once at a screening and once in an airport corridor or something, and said, is there glass in your glasses?
And you went, oh, crap.
And I said, no. But what I said to them was, yeah, I'm blind as a bat without them, which is true. And I said, oh, okay. And I thought, no, the jig's up.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Especially imagine now with HD everything.
Yeah.
You can see it's too much. No one needs that much high definition. Yeah. No one needs to be that close to any part of you or that detailed. Oh, look, there's a stray hair just here. No. Yeah. Too much, too close.
So that was my eyeglass adventure.
Yeah. Christopher says, I've noticed in the lack of stars in your reviews that Leonard is not a Don Knotts fan at all.
That's not true.
It's not true at all. It's actually, he likes Don Knotts a lot. Is Leonard also not a fan of his work in the Andy Griffith Show?
Oh, well, that's Barney Fife is a cultural icon.
I don't think you can dislike Don Knotts.
It's against the law.
Yeah, I think you have to, don't you?
And I'm old enough that I grew up with him as part of Steve Allen's Man in the Street repertory company with Louis Nye and Tom Poston and Dayton Allen. and he was, he's just so funny. I'm not doing an impression, just an impression of an impression.
Yes.
What's your name, sir? KB Morrison. And what do you do? He says, I make explosives. He said, what's the KB stand for? Kaboom. That was his.
It's still funny.
Yeah.
Still funny. Joelle says, I just want to say that I've been listening to your podcast and the interviews are great. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening. It's such a, again, it's been tough doing them through the pandemic because it's just no fun interviewing people via Zoom.
So we've been lucky that we've had a good,
very fortunate and
good rapport,
able to do it, but it's just so different because a huge part of what we love is the connection.
Yeah.
And because we talk to someone for an hour, something I think is really funny is it would be interesting to take a photo before you start the interview and one after just to see how different it would be. Because after you've shared this hour with someone in this small room, you have a connection, you now have a bit of a relationship. And I also because someone will come in and you shake their hands when you meet them, but they hug you when they leave. And that's sort of indicative of the experience you've just had, that now you have shared something. So yeah, it's not as much fun to be doing them via Zoom, but we're very lucky to at least be doing them at all.
Yes.
I'll take it. No arguments. Hi, Logan. Yeah, a few of you are asking how the dogs are settling. How are you settling in, Logan? He's just fine. Both of
they play with each other all day. And
the sound effect is priceless.
Roughhousing.
Yeah.
And they're hilarious. They're just hilarious.
We wish we could capture the sound of them running together because it truly sounds like something out of a cartoon. And especially, so I live downstairs, so above me you'll just hear this.
Yeah, I don't know how to describe it even. If Hanna-Barbera were still in business, they'd buy this for their sound effects library.
They'd use it all the time because it is just so funny. All right, now Rory, are you the one who always brings up Skidoo, or are you one of three that always bring up Skidoo? There's a handful of you folks on Facebook that are really set on always bringing up Skidoo, no matter how many times my dad responds to it. And I am intrigued. Is there someone who is a part of Skidoo that is paying you to continually bring Skidoo up?
Now,
is that the problem?
Skidoo is kind of the living definition of a cult movie.
Yes.
Not a cult movie invented by a hypester. So say, we're calling this a cult movie.
Yeah.
This really is a cult movie because you cannot accept it on any other terms.
Rory says yes. So why, Rory? Why, just out of curiosity, do you continually bring up Skidoo? No matter, he answers, he tells you about Skidoo, he tells you his feelings, which are not, you don't have really major feelings about Skidoo.
No, and I have to revisit it sometime just so I can refresh my acquaintance.
Yes.
With Skidoo. And hear Harry Nilsson sing the credits at the end.
Yes. Leonard's interviewing technique reminds me a lot of Charles Kuralt. Is that how you say it? You put everyone at ease. It's true. It's absolutely true.
Well, I take that as a high compliment. Jesse doesn't remember Charles Kuralt, but he was easygoing would be a good way to describe him, and very, very low key, straightforward.
Well, I'll tell you what I always say. At the beginning of our interviews, what we tell people when we're going to start is we'll say, look, we talk straight through. Hi, Nikki. I love you too. Sweet dreams. We say at the beginning, we talk for an hour. It's very relaxed. It's very laid back. But our wonderful engineer, Aristotle, can always edit, anything that you want to take out, anything you want to change, whatever. But for the most part, we do just speak for an hour. Usually if we stop, it's because one of us has forgotten a name. And we don't want to, certainly for an actor, he's forgotten the name of the director of a film that he's talking. Because remember, we usually talk about someone's whole career. So this could be a movie they made in 1992, and they're trying to remember a co-star or something. So we'll pause and we'll say, no problem at all. Let's look it up and we'll get it. And that way there's no embarrassment. But the whole point is to say to someone, there are no gotcha questions.
No.
There, you know, even sometimes you'll say before we start, you'll say, "Is it okay if I bring up such and such?" Again, nothing terrible, but just little things that he'll say, you know, "Did you like this movie? Because I want to talk about that. Are you a fan of that film too? Oh, you are? Great. Okay." But yeah,
that's the total prep.
Yeah, well, we like them to have a good time.
Yeah.
You know, Francis says, "Which movie critic do you respect the most?"
Well,
you know your short list.
Yes, my short list begins with Todd McCarthy.
He's always the first
currently
one
with the Hollywood Reporter and available online. I don't think they even have a paywall. I think you can just read his stuff now.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
Every now and then one of those things will pop up, but yeah.
And Anthony Lane in The New Yorker. And Justin Chang in the Los Angeles Times.
You got like an Elvis swoop going on today.
Anything to do with Elvis.
You'll take it, yeah.
Yeah. Those are my...
Those are sort of the go-tos that we talk about. But there's, you know, Joe Morgenstern is wonderful.
Joe Morgenstern in the Wall Street Journal. Ann Hornaday in the Washington Post.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of good writers out there.
Yeah. I think that's something you always say is usually if someone likes you, it means they agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
So part of what you look for in a film critic is, do you have similar taste?
Yeah.
Now, in the case of Justin Chang, you're usually on complete opposite spectrums. And if he loves it, it almost certainly means we will not like it. But he's such a beautiful writer.
Yes.
And so intelligent and thoughtful.
And a world-class punster.
It is. If you do not follow him on Twitter, it truly works of art. Like dad jokes like you've never seen in your life. Just epic dad jokes. But yeah, that's sort of, those are the ones you usually bring up.
Yeah.
As being the people that you look for
mm-hmm.
and enjoy so much. But yeah, who do you like? Who are some of your favorite film critics? Other than this guy, obviously.
Well.
Have you ever heard of Lux Radio Theater? Has he ever heard? Let me tell you.
Well, I wrote a whole book, which made a nosedive and missed the bestseller list entirely.
Well.
But it's called The Great American Broadcast, and it's about old-time radio. And I got to interview dozens and dozens of people who worked in what we think of as the golden age of radio, including a number of people who worked on Lux. And Lux was like just about the most popular dramatic show on the air. It was on the air for about 20 years. They did a TV version for a little while in the 50s. And the idea of Lux was simple. They adapted recent and sometimes not so recent hit movies for a 1-hour radio format. And then they tried to get the same stars who appeared in the leading roles to recreate their parts, for the listening audience. And it was hosted by Cecil B. DeMille. And I just love Cecil B. DeMille. I love his theatricality.
Oh, yeah.
His persona.
Yeah.
I mean, you see him in that wonderful scene in Sunset Boulevard where he plays himself. No one could have played him better than himself.
Yeah.
He's Mr. DeMille. And everything was scripted, including the so-called banter at the end of the show. Well, Gary, we're all looking forward to your new Western release. It's fun.
Yeah. We love old radio.
Yeah.
If you do not know that, we love old radio. Yeah. I was raised on old radio. It's one of my favorite things. It puts me at ease. Mm-hmm. When I first started traveling without my parents when I was 18, I would keep a bunch of Jack Benny radio shows on my iPod. And that's what I would listen to go to sleep because it just put me into a happy place. Mm-hmm. And I memorized the episodes. I knew them backwards and forwards, but it was just sort of my comforting happy
They're funnier
place.
Forwards.
Well.
Just to note.
I don't know.
Just to suggest.
Rochester in any direction is hilarious. Just discovered Tati's masterpiece Playtime and was wondering what is your favorite Jacques Tati film?
Well, that may be it.
Yeah.
Because I had the thrill of seeing it at the Egyptian Theater here in Los Angeles in 70 millimeter. And they have an enormous screen. And Tati's film filled that screen, and everything in the frame, of course, was designed and put there on purpose by him.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing accidental in that movie. It's thrilling. It's thrilling to watch a film that well thought out, that well executed, in a perfect presentation.
Yeah. I would also say, if you're not familiar with Pierre Etaix,
Yes.
Etaix,
Etaix.
That is a great.
He was kind of a Tati acolyte.
Yes.
And followed in his footsteps, and followed very well in his footsteps.
Very funny, very clever.
Yeah.
And frankly, ingenious in certain ways.
Oh, yeah.
The bed racing.
Yes.
It's one of the best things you'll ever see in your life.
Great sight gags.
Brilliant.
Great, yeah.
But yeah, I very much. Criterion released some of Etaix's film. Yeah,
they did a box set.
Yeah, and it's so worthwhile. Especially if you like Jacques Tati and you like that sort of a thing, I think you will very much appreciate Pierre Etaix. Mm-hmm. He's wonderful. Someone's asking about Czech
New Wave.
New Wave.
Well, The Fireman's Ball, which is a lot of people's favorite. And I'll stop there. Fireman's Ball.
Were you friends with the late Ron Haver, who
yep.
did such a great job at LACME years ago? Oh, yes.
Yes,
oh,
yes. Alice and I were lucky enough to come out here in the early 80s and get in on the tail end of Ron's tenure at the LA County Museum, where he programmed and hosted Friday and Saturday night screenings, and also got to know a little bit Gary Essert and Gary, this is terrible. The two Garys is why we.
Yeah.
That's how we.
That's why they call them the two Garys. It's two.
Who ran FilmX, which was a friend of mine called it the Kmart of film festivals because they kind of bit off so much that they tried to pack into their screenings.
I will say one of the best things I can tell you is that most of the folks involved in preservation, restoration, film history, almost all of them know each other. It's a wonderful small community. And so most times if you're talking about, especially, some of the folks like Ron Haver who've done this for such a long time, everybody kind of knows each other.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that you guys have relationships, and also you do rely on each other at different points because
sure.
Everybody has a different skill.
Or specialty.
Yeah. So, I used to joke that if we ever did Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, it's like having 7 dwarves. You have one for everything.
It's like having 7.
But you know what I mean? It's like we have a friend. Okay. If something's animation, you're going to call either Mark or Jerry.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's Mark Evanier and Jerry Beck. If something is to do with, let's say, movies in the 50s, 60s, some sort of extreme trivia, Pete.
Yeah.
I'm saying we have a dwarf for everything. So I've always thought
Find another way of saying that.
Well, wait, am I wrong?
Find another way.
Am I wrong?
No, your point is well taken.
I'm just saying, we have 7 dwarfs. Got one for every activity. Everybody does a thing. My mom is great for character actors. That's one of her best skills.
Yes, and voices.
And voice. She's very good at voice. Hi, very good at voices.
If a commercial comes on and there's an actor doing the voiceover, like before we knew it, she recognized John Hamm.
Yeah,
from Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah, Donna's saying specialists, but see, specialists are fine, but dwarves is funnier. 7 dwarves.
Okay.
You're not going to move me from that. Hi, Logan. Right. So
for those of you
who have not met, this is Logan. We've now had Logan for 2 months, 2 whole months, and he's doing really well. And he's an absolute sweetheart, and we love him very much. Yes, we do. And thankfully, he's also a cinephile. He's really getting into watching movies with us, aren't you, baby? You're so good. Any guilty pleasures of 1950s sci-fi movies that you recognize are bad movies, but you still enjoy? Hi.
Well, I saw most of those at Saturday matinees, and it's kind of fun when you're a kid and you can still feel superior to the movie. You know, crummy special effects or bad miniatures or something like that. But I don't call them guilty pleasures because I have no guilt.
What's we always when someone says, "What's your guilty pleasure movie?" We don't have a guilty pleasure because I do not feel guilt. I do not feel guilt, do I? No. Speaking of Mark Evanier, how about an animated film that pays tribute to Jack Kirby? Well, yes, that would be lovely. He's a legend.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, that's what the Lord and Miller did in part in their Spider-Man
Into the Spider-Verse.
Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
That's a terrific movie. I haven't seen their new one that they executive produced.
The Mitchells versus the Machines.
Yeah.
Mitchells versus.
Right.
I watched it. It was cute.
Or the United States of America, the other one that they're involved with.
Yeah.
On Netflix.
Yeah. I saw the Mitchells versus the Machines, and it's good. It's not great, but it's good. It's really entertaining. Something definitely the kind of thing that you can watch and enjoy. Not necessarily the kind of thing you tell everybody they need to go see, but something that's enjoyable. And sometimes that's enough, you know? That's the thing, isn't it? Is sometimes a movie can just be entertaining. It doesn't have to be the greatest thing you've ever seen in your life. It can just be good.
Sometimes a cigar is just a
if I had a nickel. Hang on. Any chance of Criterion putting out a set of National Film Board of Canada shorts?
Well, that would be a good idea as far as I'm concerned.
Nice.
I just saw a film about his collaborator, Evelyn Lambert, who shares credit for my favorite McLaren film, Begone Dull Care.
Yeah.
And little is known about her, and I knew nothing about her, I have to confess. And now I must recognize her as a collaborator. And she made films on her own as well at the National Film Board. But anything that exposes those films to a wider audience, I am 100% behind.
Yeah. If you don't know about the National Film Board and their registry, it's a fascinating universe that you've been a part of for a long time.
No, that's the National Film Registry.
No, but I know I'm saying this too.
Yeah. National Film Board of Canada was founded about 1940, 39 or 40. They hired a Scottish filmmaker and film theorist named John Grierson to move to Canada and assemble a staff. And unlike the States, unlike the USA, we've never had a subsidized film, not just program. What's the word? Like a collective or a workshop.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the National Endowment for the Arts supports many different organizations and schools, universities, festivals. But the National Film Board is a full-time operation that has fostered the creative development and growth of so many talented people, so very many talented people over the past 75 years. And I love what they do. And of course, you can't start a project like that and say, only make good films.
Yeah, right.
You can hope they make good films, but their batting average is pretty high, especially in animation.
It's I mean, it's just nice anyway, of course, for something like that to be supported.
Yeah.
You know, Ryan's saying he has a question about the Silly Symphony shirt. Did you get the Silly Symphony collection shirt when you did an unboxing of the set for Disney's YouTube channel? Did you do an unboxing for Disney's? I guess
I did.
Guess you did.
I did do that, and I got it at D23.
Yeah, that's how we got it.
Shortly before.
Yeah.
The unboxing.
And my mother immediately went, "Where's mine?" So she got one too. Because you don't tell Alice Maltin no. Now, do you? Not if you want to live. What were your thoughts on the American Masters 2-part Walt Disney documentary, and why didn't you participate in it?
The second part of that I can answer easily. I wasn't asked. And I'll be candid. I haven't watched it because I heard reactions from friends of mine, both pro and con.
Yeah.
And I decided I didn't want to. I didn't want to expose myself to that and have to render an opinion.
I think it would be safe to say that you know about everything there is to know about Walt Disney at this point.
Mm-hmm. No one knows that much, but everybody.
You know, having spent so much time with the family,
mm-hmm.
With people who've worked with him through the years.
And the archivists.
And all the archivists, I think that we have a fairly good sense of who he was. And because of what your friends said after watching it.
Yeah, and I have formed my opinions.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to. Who wants to see your opinion challenged? Hey, let's have fun this afternoon.
Yeah.
Let's challenge all your opinions.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Nick saying that they took too much time on the strike. Yeah. I mean, again, for people, to me, something like that is great if you don't know a lot about someone
mm-hmm.
As sort of an appetizer.
Yeah.
But, you know, anyone making anything is going to have their ideas.
Yeah.
And feelings, and you know, it is what it is. They say we've been lucky enough to know so many people who knew him, whether it's because it was, you know, Diane and it was her dad, or nephews, or
mm-hmm.
just folks like Floyd Norman and Richard Sherman and all those different people. So yeah, I think we were okay on that one. Is I think the feeling.
I don't mean that to sound arrogant.
No, not at all. Not at all.
It's not that other people don't have worthy things or worthwhile things to say about Walt, or even revealing things to say about
mm-hmm.
Walt. I just didn't feel.
But let's cover the basics, shall we? Not racist, did not hate Jews, is not frozen. Really, the most important things you need to know about Walt Disney. Definitely not frozen. It's crazy. What movie or movies about the Revolutionary War would you recommend?
Oh, gee, there aren't many.
Mm-mm.
There aren't many. As a kid, I loved Walt Disney's Johnny Tremaine.
Yeah.
It's it's based on a children's book and what you'd call maybe a young adult
mm-hmm.
Story today, but it humanizes the tumultuous period leading up to, you know, the Boston Tea Party and everything that followed by focusing on a youthful character who's an apprentice silversmith.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw it as a kid, and it worked for me. But you know, when you consider all the other milestones in world history, there's very little about that period dramatically.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
I'm hearing Mabel knock things over.
Accepting, of course, one of our all-time favorite Broadway musicals, 1776.
Yes, and by the way, 1776 is the only reason I passed 7th grade history. My teacher did have to, on multiple occasions, walk over to me and say, please stop singing. Because while I'd be taking tests, I'd be going, Philadelphia, and be filling it in. So yeah. And if you
haven't seen it, the film is a very faithful book.
I don't know how much of that you can hear, but it's the two of them running around. Sorry.
The movie is a pretty faithful adaptation of the show, and with most of the original Broadway cast members.
Yeah.
And including William Daniels as John Adams, and Ken Howard.
Yeah.
And Howard Da Silva as Ben Franklin.
Yeah. Someone just asked, do you have a favorite scene from Some Like It Hot? I don't know how you pick. It's all great. And that ties in. Another person here is asking the question, what did you think of Marilyn Monroe's talent as an actress? Well, sorry. I would say for Some Like It Hot, why pick one piece when the whole thing is brilliant?
It's just such a perfect movie.
Yeah.
Really, you know, you can't improve upon that movie.
Yeah.
And I think Marilyn is delightful in it.
Yeah.
Apparently, it wasn't delightful to work with her on it because she had so many things going on, and she was under the sway of Lee Strasberg's wife, Paula. So Billy Wilder who had worked with her before in the 7-Year Itch. So he knew of some of her peccadillos.
Yeah.
But apparently they'd gotten worse. So that when he would call cut after a scene, she would look not to him for approval or a nod or something. She'd look to Paula. And if Paula went like that, then she was satisfied. If Paula went like that, she wanted to do it again.
So that's the thing. I think it would be, I think it's really tricky if you ask, was she a good actress? I think she probably was.
Yeah.
But
she was certainly a good comedian.
Yeah, she had good timing. But I also think that unfortunately she was such a broken person. So I think that she just got in her own way a lot.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think that that's really one of the problems that happen. Someone's saying, I enjoy your book, The Great Movie Comedians. I've owned it now for 40 years. See, it's so when my dad would do book signings, different events, sometimes people would bring books with them to have him sign. And a lot of those books came out before I existed. I'm 35. And you've been publishing books since 1969. There you go. So there's a nice chunk of time there where I didn't exist yet. And it is always funny. Someone will walk up with a book. And again, the book is older than me, but also I, in some cases, hadn't seen it or hadn't seen that version of it.
Yeah.
That printing. It's absolutely wild.
Well, thank you for the nice compliment.
Yes.
I worked hard on that book.
You did. You love that. I think that's one of your favorite books that you did, really.
Yeah.
It's up there. It's up there of your favorite things. Let's see. What is your favorite movie from 1968? Very specific.
The Graduate, Bonnie and Clyde. I get 67 and 68 confused in my head.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
It's close enough, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Both of those things.
Let me recommend a few films. First off, now playing in theaters and on Hulu, you can choose, is a wonderful documentary called Summer of Soul, or When the Revolution Could Not Be Televised.
Yeah.
And it's the work of the musician known as Questlove. You see him and his band The Roots on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. And he is is autodidactic the right word?
Maybe. I mean,
he knows just about everything there is to know about popular music, American music.
He's brilliant and very talented, but also extremely articulate. And so anytime I've watched a music doc that he's in, I'm always impressed.
Yeah.
He has a great way of explaining things. And I always really enjoy hearing that.
Anyway, somebody led him to a cache of footage that was taken during the summer of 1969 at a park in Harlem. I think there were either 4 or 6 concerts altogether. But for some reason, this footage has never been used. It was filmed, and an incredible lineup of talent. Stevie Wonder, B.B. King, Nina Simone, Sly and the Family Stone, on and on and on and on. No one ever made use of it until now. And at least that's what they're saying. I hope it's true.
Yeah.
Hope it's not
well,
exaggeration.
They haven't been called out yet.
No.
There hasn't been anybody saying, hey, wait a minute.
Anyway, and of course, 69 is, right in the midst of the Cultural Revolution that was going on. I went to NYU beginning the fall of 68, and it had been radicalized, and that spring had been the students' takeover of Columbia University. All sorts of things were happening. And this concert series was celebrating music and culture in Harlem. So it's capturing it's a time capsule. It's
capturing something specific at a specific time in an important moment in history, as lots of things were going on.
So it's both a great concert film with wonderful performances and it's a time capsule, and they're good people giving perspective on what was going on back then, including people who attended it and who are still here to tell the tale. And Summer of Love, really, really good. What else have I reviewed lately?
I'd have to look it up. There's just too many.
There's
too many.
There's too much.
I'll look that up. And
so I watched the new Steven Soderbergh film.
Oh, yeah.
That debuted on Netflix. That was intended as a theatrical release. No, not on Netflix, on HBO Max. Because it's one of those Warner Brothers films, Warner Media. And thank you for a reminder about Luca. I'll talk about that in a minute. Anyway, Steven Soderbergh directed, and Ed Solomon wrote this new sort of caper film called No Sudden Move, with Don Cheadle, Benicio del Toro, and a strong cast up and down the line. And I was a little underwhelmed. It's a film that's taking its time, purposely taking its time, unraveling this story. It's okay. It's okay. I don't think it's much more than that. Luca, however, is a film I'd be happy to spread the word about to anyone and everyone. And if you haven't seen it yet, it's on Disney Plus, and I don't believe it is in theaters.
I don't know.
I think it's only on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Where all the recent Pixar releases have gone. Yeah. What a lovely movie in every sense of that word. Beautiful looking, the production design, and for the character design, they wanted it to be cartoony. They didn't want it to be the production design of the setting is realistic.
Very.
Almost photorealistic.
Very. It's absolutely stunning.
And
yeah, that's what I thought. It was at the El Cap. That's what I remember. It was here at the El Capitan, but I don't know that it played many other theaters, actual theaters. Yeah. It's stunning to look at. The story is beautiful. And it's the kind of film that when it ended, you keep thinking about it. Yeah. And you keep thinking about it. And when you do, it makes you smile.
It's a charming film. It's a coming of age movie. With other layers.
Yeah. Another movie that you reviewed recently is The Sparks Brothers.
Oh, yes, The Sparks Brothers by Edgar Wright. And I never heard of them.
Yeah.
I confess, I never heard of them. The Mael brothers, M-A-E-L. They've been writing and performing for almost 50 years.
Yeah.
And they have a fervent fan base, including a lot of very cool people who speak on their behalf. But they won me over. Allison and me both the other night as we were watching it. We said, these guys are really good, and they're completely original. Yeah. They're not like anybody else.
No.
And they've stayed true to their ideals. Yeah. Musically and in every other way.
Yeah. So that's something you can absolutely try out. If you have never heard of them, you could still enjoy it. It's not the kind of thing where you have to be a fan to watch it and like it.
Yeah. Now, do I think several people are asking about the future of art house cinemas? Well, I choose to be optimistic. I may be proven wrong. And of course, after a year and 4 months of watching everything at home, you do develop habits, and it's going to take some doing to get for me and for thousands of other people to get up off our behinds, and go out to a theater to see something we could see. I'm pointing to our TV set. Yeah, see something we could see in our living room.
I think that the way that so we got tickets to go and see Black Widow next week. I want to see it in the theater. We're going to go at a time that's relatively quiet in the day, and booked our seats ahead. We will keep wearing masks because we're a family of immune challenged people. So that's just something that we need to do. But I do want to see big movies on a big screen.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, some of the smaller stuff is not as easily affected. Which is to say, many documentaries that come out, a lot of stuff that can survive
Mm-hmm.
just sort of
Mm-hmm.
on your set.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that we happen to live in a city where art house cinema is still celebrated. We're very lucky for that.
Yeah.
New Beverly has started doing a bunch of stuff, and so we're very fortunate. But I do worry about smaller theaters and other places.
Yeah.
And yeah, all you can do, the part you can play, is support them.
Yep.
Now whether that's going or becoming a member,
a lot of them become nonprofits. That's how they're surviving.
Yeah.
They become nonprofit enterprises, like an arts center.
Mm-hmm.
And,
a number of places do that.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever works. What's your favorite Chaplin movie?
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I usually answer Modern Times because that's the first feature of his that I saw when I was 8 or 9 years old. It was reissued theatrically. And so I have a particular soft spot in my heart for that.
Yeah.
And, but, it's kind of like whichever one I saw most recently.
Yeah. Well,
and the Criterion Blu-ray release of The Circus has 2 segments that were filmed and in one case edited that he cut out of the movie.
Yeah.
And they're both really good. I mean, Chaplin's leftovers are better than some people's best efforts.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen that, I do recommend it.
Yeah. Hi, Amy. Have you been watching Loki? And if so, what do you think? I'm enjoying it. I have. My parents have not. As I say, so my mom doesn't like Marvel action,
comic book movies.
Like, it's just not her thing.
Or superhero movies.
It's just not her thing. She doesn't like it. Every now and then she will watch them, and then we have to deal with her hatred as we sit there. And so finally I had to put my foot down and say, no more, Alice. So she said, well, should I go see Black Widow with you? I said, no. You will not come see, you will not like it, and we will sit there and you will be annoyed, and you stay home. So yeah, but I my husband and I are watching Loki, and Tom Hiddleston's great, and because the production value is so good, it's a lot of fun to watch. I think they're doing a great job with it. I do find myself more, honey, of WandaVision, Loki, and Tinker Tailor Winter Soldier, which is your favorite?
Loki.
Yeah, husband likes Loki best of those 3 series that they've done. But we both really enjoy. I call it Tinker Tailor Winter Soldier, which is Winter Soldier. I still can't get it right because it's just too long and dull of a name. But that one for me. I did enjoy that very much, and I like Loki. Loki's funny. I think of the things, Mommy would handle Loki best.
Okay.
Because it is funny and well done.
Now, my wife and I have done some binging of late. We watched season 7, the final season of Bosch.
You blew through the final season
Yes.
of Bosch.
Because their cliffhangers are so good, you really do want to just keep watching. And this is the series that is based on Michael Connelly's novels about a maverick LA police detective, played by Titus Welliver, and which makes great use of locations around LA. Not the typical, not this same old. It's well cast too, and so this is this final season. Although they're going to do a spinoff.
Yeah. Because why not?
Yeah. Anyway, and we thought season 6 wrapped everything up in a neat little package. And why they're going to do another season? But it's really a good season.
You guys have also been loving Hacks, which I haven't started.
We just
yet.
watched all 10 episodes of Hacks, which stars Jean Smart as a Joan Rivers-ish comedian performer, and a newcomer to the scene named Hannah Einbinder, who is the daughter of Lorraine Newman. Many of you remember from the early seasons of Saturday Night Live. Anyway, she's a young comedy writer who's burned, though she's very young, she's burned all her bridges in Hollywood.
Happens.
And the only gig she can get is working for this impossible woman who lives in Las Vegas, where she also performs.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts off, I mean, it's interesting right away, and the two performances are very fine, but it winds up being a different show than it starts out. It gets more human, and it's very, very satisfying. And we gobbled up Lupin.
Yeah, which everybody, I've yet to meet anyone who watches that show and doesn't enjoy it.
With Omar Sy.
Yeah.
And a French film very loosely inspired by the stories about Arsène Lupin. I mean, it was made as a Hollywood movie with John and Lionel Barrymore back in 1932. And but this bears scant resemblance to that.
Greg Airbar is saying, it was a friend of ours, I went to the New Beverly to see 2 Lane Blacktop last night. And unlike a few weeks ago, there was no social distancing and hardly any masks but mine. I guess it's supposed to be okay now, but felt a little self-conscious with my mask. And I'm still having trouble adjusting with all the conflicting information. And I wanted to read this question, or I should say comment, because there's something that I keep saying to my friends. You have to do what makes you feel safe. Everyone is going to have different opinions. We're going to keep getting information that in some cases will be conflicting, in other cases will just be stress-inducing. So you have to make the best decision for yourself. Again, we are, as a whole, an immune-compromised family. My dad has Parkinson's. I have lupus. My mom has God knows what. No, my mom has asthma and other health issues. So we're all fragile. We're all on the fragile side of things. And even though I had COVID, it's still something that I need to be really careful about.
You had it very, very early.
Yeah, I was trendy. I had COVID early. I had it last year in March. But to me, the best thing you can do is whatever is best for you. So if you do not feel comfortable going to a movie theater, don't do it. Don't put yourself in that situation. We're aware that when we go to see Black Widow, it will be a full theater. Now, again, I chose a small theater. I chose one that didn't have a lot of seats, and one of them that has recliners, because that immediately means that there are fewer seats. But it's our choice.
Yeah.
And if we got there and felt like, oh, hell, we're all going to die, then we leave. So I just keep repeating it. Do what is comfortable for you. It's no one else's business what you choose to do. If you're the only person wearing a mask, but it makes you feel better, wear the mask.
I have now seen 3 films in theaters masked, which I never thought would be even possible.
Yeah.
Let alone practicable. I mean, I don't want to sit there, focusing on my breathing.
Yeah.
Well, no, the films were diverting enough and good enough that they took my mind off of that.
Yeah.
And so I survived.
Yeah. So again, you do what's best for you. Oh yeah. Nick is saying you have Parkinson's. Yes, my dad has Parkinson's. He talks about it. You were diagnosed, is it 7 years ago? 7 years ago. He does well in general. He works really, really hard, and he goes to physical therapy, and he takes an obscene amount of medication. But yeah, he has Parkinson's, and he's living his life.
I am functioning.
So I wouldn't go that far, but
I am functioning slower.
Yeah.
No question of that.
Yeah.
And some things are more of an effort than they used to be. But here I am.
Where are you?
Right here.
Right there.
Yep.
It's fine. So yeah, it is not, as we like to remind people, not a death sentence. I know it can sound scary to hear, but not a death sentence. And we're very lucky. What is your favorite French movie?
Ooh.
And we talked about, my dad is a Francophile. He loves French cinema. When Colcoa is here, which is City of Lights, City of Angels, it's a big French film festival that happens here. That is like you on cloud 9.
Yeah, well, and I want to set up a tent and just stay there.
Just live there the whole time.
Always other things conflicting and competing. What is my favorite French film?
Mm-hmm.
Probably, Oh man.
You know how I play this game. What's the first one that comes to your mind?
Grand Illusion.
There you go.
Or Rules of the Game.
Yep.
Or something by Tavernier.
Yeah.
Something by, Too Hard.
Yeah, there's a lot of lovely. I mean, there's, as I say, I'm trying to think of just some of you watch a lot of them.
Quai des Orfèvres.
Yeah. I should remind you again, by the by, if you missed the documentary that my dad was lucky enough to narrate, he was narrated the English version.
The Méliès Mystery.
Yeah.
By Georges Méliès, the pioneer French filmmaker.
And everyone I know who has caught it has absolutely loved it and been blown away. So I recommend that highly if you have a chance. You've got DVDs in your hands.
Oh man, they just keep coming. Criterion Collection. I haven't had a chance to even look at the new release of Sam Fuller's Pickup on South Street. One of my favorite Sam Fuller movies from 1951 with Richard Widmark, Thelma Ritter, Richard Kiley. So good. Not as eccentric as some other Fuller films. And just great. You'll fall in love with Thelma Ritter. If you don't know who she is, you will by the time this film is over. And I just got, and because I'm on their press list, I'm not even sure this is available for sale for another week or so, but I got the new Blu-ray of Howard Hawks' Bringing Up Baby, with a lot of great bonus features, including an audio interview with Cary Grant.
Ooh, Paul is saying that all Criterion is on sale for 50% off at Borders right now. So if you have
Borders.
That's what he has written.
Is Borders still in business?
Does Borders still exist? I would love it if Borders still existed. I'm guessing it does.
Me
If
too.
Paul's going there.
Anyway, they interviewed Scott Eyman about Cary Grant.
Of course.
They interviewed John Bailey about the cinematographer Russell Meddy.
Yep.
They interviewed Craig Barron about Linwood Dunn, who did the visual effects in Bringing Up Baby. There's a 1977 German interview with Howard Hawks.
You mean Barnes and Noble? Yeah, it's okay. He means
okay.
Barnes and Noble.
Better.
So Barnes and Noble is having a 50% off sale on Criterion.
Well, that's
Good to
news.
know.
That is
Thank
news.
you for sharing. Get over there.
So much to work with. And our friend Bob Whitey interviews Albert Brooks on the recently released Defending Your Life, which is such a good movie. Kino, no slackers. Kino Lorber just keeps putting out tons and tons of releases from the 70s, 80s, and from the 20s and 30s. Here's Joseph von Sternberg's Thunderbolt, his first talkie. Not a great film, but an interesting film for a visual guy having to deal with sound for the first time. And one of the strangest early or late talkies, The Great Gavo, with Erich von Stroheim as a vaudeville.
That's a real creepy
ventriloquist.
poster right there. That's a real creepy poster.
Once seen, never forgotten. And you should see it once. Maybe that's enough.
Maybe, yeah. Something else someone brought up a couple of times asking questions is we've mentioned that you have a really interesting relationship with folks who have Asperger's and autism.
Mm-hmm.
And it is fascinating because there are a number of people who have to deal with something like that, and they are able to connect to something and sort of become, like
Savants.
Yeah, about certain topics. And it is a fascinating thing. So we've met more than one person who's actually memorized the movie guide and can tell you page for page what something says. It has also taught us that sometimes people need a bit of help expressing themselves, even in writing. And so I've learned that something may seem abrupt a person may seem abrupt when they're writing, and it isn't that. It's that this is their form of communication.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've met so many interesting people, gotten letters, but also in person, certainly at big events like D23 or Comic-Con, stuff like that. And I will speak to their family members. I've had family members write to me and say, hey, my son is going to get in touch because he would really love to speak to Leonard. And of course, we're always, when it can happen, we're always happy to do that. And they'll say, this is one of their ways of communicating is talking film, or music or any number of things. Some folks memorize Disney. They know Disney backwards and forwards.
I met a 10-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Some years ago. I was somewhat acquainted with his father, and he asked if I would go to lunch with them at a nearby restaurant. And I did. And this boy was kind of levitating. He was so excited to meet me because he had committed my entire Disney book to memory. And he would say, yes, Leonard Maltin. When Mary Poppins opened on December 14th, 1964, with Dick Van Dyke and Julianne. And he would go on and on and on.
Yeah.
And it was
Nick is saying that he has Asperger's and met us at Cinevent. Yeah. It is. I love that people find different languages.
Yeah.
Everybody is different. Every single person is different. And, that's why people discovering groups in general, as I say, whatever the activity may be, it gives you something to connect over. I'll never forget the little boy just kept saying, well, Leonard Maltin. And it was just the cutest thing in the entire universe. But yeah, everybody, you don't have to have any sort of a neurological, diagnosis to be someone that can be nervous around others. Mm-hmm. So again, when you have something that you can connect with, when you're wearing a Silly Symphony shirt and someone comes over and goes, I love Silly Symphony so much, you go, well, hello, friend. Yeah. You connect, you immediately connect. So yeah, it's something that I love experiencing. It has taught me a lot of patience. Again, even just in writing, that someone may not mean to be abrupt. It's just their form of communication. So you try to answer people, in a forthcoming way. Yeah, it's something that always amazes me and makes me smile. So, hooray for finding connections.
Yes. We won't debate this, but I really liked In the Heights, and I did I got to see that on a big theater screen, and I just enjoyed it. And John M. Chu, the director, gets a lot of credit for bringing back. It's the kind of musical. I was sitting in a very sparsely populated theater, but people cheered and applauded after that opening number, and others later on. It was exciting to experience that.
Yeah. My mom and I watched it at home, and the reason he's saying we won't discuss is we didn't like it very much. But my dad didn't. I saw the show on Broadway, so I had a bit of a sense of what I was hoping it would be, and they did change a lot. And so I was not thrilled with the changes. At the same time, I completely understand that if you saw something like that in a theater, certainly with an audience, and certainly right now, you would have the experience you had.
Yeah. And
it made you feel good. You came home and you said, there were some issues, but in general, I enjoyed myself. Yeah. And again, that's all you can really ask for from something is you watched it and you enjoyed it.
I liked the Rita Moreno documentary. Just a girl who just a girl. Let's get this right.
Yo no say. I don't remember what it's called. Who do you think is the most unjustly underestimated director?
Oh, well.
I don't know. I mean, a lot, in the sense that there are a lot of people. So Alexander Payne is a friend. We've known him a long time. And even he is annoyed by the fact that he hasn't made more movies. He realizes that he can take just too much time.
Yeah.
But it's who he is.
Yeah. And I love his work. John Sayles, there's a name that ought to be emblazoned on any kind of Hall of Fame of American originals. He is a writer. First and foremost, he's a writer. I've read his novels and short stories and enjoyed them too. And he's made some.
Just a girl who decided to go for it.
Just a girl.
Rita Moreno. Just a girl who decided to go for it.
Yeah.
Continue.
A surprisingly intimate portrait of her, in ways that I didn't expect. I didn't anticipate. So if you like her at all, and it's hard not to like her, it's worth seeing. It's well worth seeing.
Yeah. But John Sayles going back.
John Sayles.
John Sayles is another one.
You know, he's just he's incapable of writing a false line of dialogue. He's got a great ear and a great feel for the characters and their environment that he creates. Mate One, one of his best films. Return of the Secaucus 7, his first feature. I could go on and on.
Yeah. There's, again, I think that depending on what you enjoy, there's going to be someone in every genre that you feel, why don't more people know this person, that person? And again, this is true of the arts in general. You're going to have painters, you're going to have actors. There's some actors that I laugh thinking people don't even realize how many movies they've been in,
we're big boosters. Of course, when we did Maltin Fest, we focused on exactly this.
Yeah.
Films that deserve to be better known, and filmmakers like Maggie Greenwald, who made this movie that we adore called Songcatcher, which won a prize at Sundance, but then got caught in distribution, issues. First, the distributor who owned it was going out of business, and the new one coming in didn't know how to deal with an indie type movie. But it's a great film. It's a great film. Nicole Holofcener.
Oh yeah. Well,
what a talent.
There's a list. There's a list of people. Someone's saying you pronounced Rita Moreno's name Moreno, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Rita Moreno. Yeah. That's. Although, what do I think when I hear her name?
Oh, my name is Rita and not Cheetah.
My name is Cheetah, but not Rita. My name is Rita, but not Cheetah.
Forbidden Broadway. Keith Gordon. Yes, I agree with you about Keith Gordon. Look up one more thing for me.
Some folks are mentioning Lone Star.
Lone Star, one of John Sayles' best. A few different people
are going Lone Star is brilliant.
Yeah, that's one of his best. Look up Keith Gordon. Get his directing credits, because I'm blanking on the title of the movie that I like especially.
He did The Legend of Billie Jean, which I love. What are you thinking of?
Waking the Dead?
Yeah.
Waking the Dead with Jennifer Connelly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Waking the Dead. 8 Men Out, another John Sayles favorite.
Yeah. Greg's mentioning Songcatcher. Songcatcher is one of our favorite movies ever. Earlier, someone asked me what some of my favorite movies are. My answer for favorite movie is always Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, because I've decided that that's the closest I can come trying to think of a list. Lists are hard. But yeah, that's definitely up there. Songcatcher is definitely up there. I love Songcatcher. Maggie Greenwald is incredible, and that movie is so good. So good. I don't know. They say there's a handful of stuff. The State and Maine is one of my favorite movies. I love that movie. I quote it constantly. The Birdcage, I know backwards and forwards and have seen probably 8,000 times. I don't know. It's there's a lot. What do you like?
Last week, I forget what we were doing. Alice and I went up to the bedroom at 9-ish or something and turned on TCM, which is what we do.
Yeah.
And they were having a Hitchcock weekend. And we came in near the beginning of Shadow of a Doubt, 1943, which Hitchcock said on more than one occasion was his favorite of his own films. And yet it's not a spectacular movie. It's not Psycho, goodness knows. And it's not even one of the later Technicolor things like
Mhm.
Rear Window
Yeah,
or
yeah,
The Man
yeah.
Who Knew Too Much. It's about an ordinary American town, and they shot it in Santa Rosa, California, which is actually an attractive American town,
Mhm.
where with Joseph Cotton, perfectly cast as the uncle of a girl in her teens, played by Teresa Wright. And she comes to understand that her uncle may not be the wonderful guy she thinks he is, and that everybody seems to think he is. It's just so good. And the same script, you could take the same script and have given it to another director,
Mhm.
and it would have made an interesting movie and a good movie. But Hitchcock's mastery
Mm.
of composition, setups, staging, contradictory things going on. He's a master. There's a reason that he's revered, and his films are still so much in demand. But Shadow of a Doubt is not a flashy film, but it's a great film, truly great film.
Mm.
And Hume Cronin, very young, is in it. I think it may be his debut movie, and he later worked with Hitch, wrote screenplays for several of his later films. So good. So good. The next night, I turned on Rope toward the beginning, and I hadn't seen it in a while. I've seen all these before, but
Mhm.
You get caught up, and then you can't escape.
Yeah.
They won't let you go.
Hitchcock is definitely one that if it's on TV, you're going to watch it.
Yeah.
You can't help yourself.
Yeah.
And why should you? Right. Well, my friends, next weekend we'll return to our normal broadcasting schedule of Sunday, because I think we're out of holidays for a little while. But yeah, thank you as always for joining us. It's it's wonderful to be with all of you, and we so appreciate you spending your weekends with us.
Fun to talk movies.
Fun
Always
to
fun
talk
to talk
movies with you.
We've been posting more often on the website at leonardmaltin.com.
You've seen some movies.
Yes.
Yeah, and you just did a big book piece. There's a big book piece on there as well.
Big film book roundup.
Big film.
Two friends wrote to me and said, stop highlighting these books I haven't heard of, because now I've got to go buy them.
Now I have to go buy these books. Yes, I know. Look, our whole entire house is a situation of don't tell me about it, now I'm going to have to get it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And the new podcast episodes drop on Friday.
Yes. So we just interviewed Max Casella. That's the newest episode, who we got to see on Broadway in The Lion King, which was so cool. So, okay. So we're going to say goodbye for now. Goodbye, everybody. And everyone be safe and have a good 4th of July.
Take care, folks.
Okay. I'm sorry. We'll go back to cuddling.